right, the next stitch I'm going to demonstrate is the wicker stitch. And this one isn't actually any harder than the rest, but it has a few more details to pay attention to. So I'll work my 3 edge stitches in garter here. Now for wicker stitch, you are going to want to keep everything loose, and I will show you how loose so that you can still be consistent. In wicker stitch, on both the right and wrong sides, you will knit 2 stitches together or at the same time before slipping them off, and it's going to cross them like a mini cable every single time. There's no cable needle, and you're just going to knit them out of order. So for every single time, you're going to take both the right and the wrong side. You'll work the second stitch first. These are all going to be done in pairs. The second stitch, then the first stitch, and they'll both slide off together. When you're on the right side and you're working knits, you can't get into this one from here like a regular knit because this stitch is in the way. So you're going to reach through the back and knit it through the back loop. Not a big deal, you've done this before. You're going to knit through the back loop, but not let these fall off. This is actually much easier than it looks when I'm slowing it down. You're just going to pop it through so it doesn't come off. This is the important part. You cannot work on your tips for this entire stitch because you need this space. So after you've picked it up, you're going to shove your stitch all the way up onto the full barrel, swing it around, and go into this first one, also up on the barrel to knit it. Also up on the barrel. Once both stitches are on the barrel, you slide both of those stitches off. That's the whole of the right side stitch. Everything is just about keeping all of your loops barrel sized, not tip sized, and to have enough room to stretch between them. This actually can go very quickly once you've got the hang of it. So I'll do it again slowly, and then I'll do a couple quickly to show you what it's like. Here's our pair of stitches. The second one gets knit first. We'll knit through the back loop, pull it up onto the barrel. Look at all that slack. This is how much slack you should have. Do not tighten this down and keep it right here and try to keep it in. You will have a sad time and your shawl won't even stretch enough. Your capelet will be too small if you tighten particularly this stitch. So we've worked the first one, we're holding on to it. Now this end one, this second stitch, which is really the first one, this is a regular knit. You just have to swing your needle around and go in as if to knit. Up on the barrel, slide both stitches off. So I'm going to do them quickly now that you can see, and you can see how loose everything is. Very stretchy, no tension. Through the back loop and up, through the front loop and off. It's that fast. This should not hurt your hands. This should not take a long time. This should be quick and easy once you've figured out the rhythm. Back loop, around the end, up on the barrel and off every single time. Through the back loop, up on the barrel as you swing around, regular knit, up on the barrel as you slide the 2 off. And again, like all the others for my capelet patterns, because we increase on both ends, some rows you will end evenly, some rows you will not end evenly. You just stop wherever you are and you will knit if there's an extra stitch, because this is the knit side. So I've got 1, 2, 3. Here's a pair of 2, so I happen to end evenly this time around. Every time you just give it a good shove before you knock them off. Here's my 3 garter stitches. Now, for the wrong side, you can't really see what's going on until you're a couple rows in. For the wrong side, you're going to do the same thing but with pearls, and I want to show you how to align them to make sure that you get the alignment right, because with 1 new stitch on each end on every row, sometimes you'll start with the end 2 stitches and sometimes you will not. So, working in pairs, the second stitch is the first one you're going to take with a purl, but the second stitch needs to be the one that is all stretched out on the front. I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'll show you how to find it from the back. So we have our pairs, and there's this stitch is on top, this stitch is underneath. On the first row, it can be difficult to see. The one on top tends to be stretched out farther and the one underneath is kind of hiding. It's the one on top that needs to be our second inside stitch. All right, so we'll turn it over here. The ends are always hard to see on pretty much all of these stitches, so you might have to look up, find the one you want, and then count backwards. So let's just peek over the top. This one is the top stitch that's stretched out, and that's here. This one's hiding, this one's stretched out, this one's hiding, this one's stretched out. So we know that our end stitch is the stretched out stitch, but we need it to be our second. So to get over there, we're gonna purl the first one, because you always can purl any extras. And now we'll check this one. This is our stretched out stitch, and it's in the second place. The rest of the row is going to be set now. All you've got to do is find your first one. Okay, same crisscross, but using purls. So we'll come in, take a purl, swing it out, up on the barrel, and then take this one, just like a regular purl. Up on the barrel before you slide 2 off. Once the last one is set, you don't have to count forward or look at the other side anymore unless you think you've gotten off somehow. So our second stitch gets a purl, up on the barrel, swing it around to get the first one with a purl, up on the barrel before you slide them off. Again, oops. You should be able to work these stitches almost as fast and as easily with as little tension in your hands as you do any other normal purl stitch or any other knit stitch on the right side. Big and loose, easy, non-stressful. Every stitch gets shoved up onto the barrel and they stay just as loose as you like and as loose as they need to be so that this section will stretch correctly when we block it and not be so tight that it pulls all the rest of the sections in with it. All right, we're getting close to the end. We'll see if we end evenly or if we need an extra purl. I've got my 3 edge stitches and there's one. That's not enough for a pair, so we'll just purl it. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Let's see what the front looks like. Now you can see that we're 2 rows in. It's much easier to see which one is that top stitch, which is obviously stretched out. That one stretches. That one is so far down you can't even see the stitch. That one is stretched. That one is far down. That one is stretched. So after you're 2 rows in, you can really tell and it's much easier. So for every other right side row, we're going to follow the same rule of the second stitch needs to be the stretched out one. So we'll do our 3 garter stitches at the edge and we'll look at what we've got. Again, the end will frequently just look normal, so go in a few to find your stretched out stitch. This one is stretched out, so that's here. This one's kind of buried, so that one's under. Stretched out, buried, stretched out, buried. Stretched out is the number 2 position, which is exactly what we want. So we can start here with our through the back loop, up on the barrel, swing it around, through the back loop. You can use your tip to grab the yarn because you don't have to shove it in all the way, so long as you bring it up to the barrel when you slide off. That's the important step. Okay, so now that we're in away from the edge, it's much easier to see this giant stretched out loop in the number 2 position. So back loop, up onto the barrel and around, first loop, up onto the barrel and off. All right, I'm getting closer to the end of my row here. Just have a couple more to go. Once the first stitch is set, the whole rest of the row follows suit, so you do not need to count or check every time. I have 3 edge stitches. There's my last pair, so we have enough room to do one. Whoops, divided my yarn there. You might need your extra fingers to help hold those stitches back and keep them from jumping off ahead of time. All right, there's the end. And you can see now that we are more than 1 row in, again, the stretched out stitches are pretty obvious in a way that they were not on the first row. They're just super elongated. do our 3 edge stitches. Once you've had some practice doing this, you'll be able to tell from the back. You've got a purl bump that's up high like this, and then this next stitch, it's kind of buried. Those are the same stitches that are elongated and buried on the front. So here we've got a very obvious purl bump on this stitch. This one, it's there, but it's buried. Let's see what this stitch looks like on the front. It's the top of this long stretched out stitch. So you can always check the front to make sure you're right. But on the back, the one you want in the number 2 position has the exposed purl, and the one you want in the first position has sort of this buried purl. Again, at the end, they look very similar. So look forward. This bump being up is going to be the stretch stitch, buried stitch, stretch stitch, buried stitch, stretch stitch. But we need the stretch stitch to be in the second position. So we'll move ourselves over by 1. We'll purl that one to get rid of it. Now, stretched, buried, stretched, buried. The stretched is in the number 2 position, which is what we want. If you want to check it, oh yeah, that is obviously the top of this stretched out stitch. That's just where we want it. So we'll start with our purl, whoops, up onto the barrel, swing around for the second one, up onto the barrel, and slide it off. Here at the end, here's my edge stitches. I only have 1, so we'll purl it and then do our 3 edge stitches. And now we are making, after 4 rows, you can really start to see the lovely crisscrossy wicker pattern.